Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here, welcome back to Gents Sense. It's like a WWE ladder match over here, just right off camera. Had a long day, it's actually in the middle of the night, and I figured what better way to relax and unwind than jump off a ladder to start Gents Sense fragrance review. This is not very relaxing actually. But I did want to come down here and just kind of shoot a quick video talking about a fragrance that I've had for probably 3 months now. It is this guy right here, Memo's Sherwood. Memo Paris Sherwood, not Sherwood Forest, but just Sherwood. So as I said, had this one for a little while now and wanted to go ahead and shoot a video on it. I have it linked in the description. You can pick this up at twistedlily.com. If you ever shop there, use the code GENTS10 for 10% off your order. That's good for everything there, man, not just the Memo. Memo Paris is a fragrance house that I've long had kind of a thing for. I like their presentation, I like the aesthetics, and the first scent that I ever smelled from the house is African leather, or was African leather. And that was just love at first sniff, man. African leather is one of my favorites ever. The cardamom in there I think just smells so good. And when I smell it today, it's still just as nice to me as the first time that I smelled it. That's what you want, man. True love. It's like those people that have been married for 50 years and they still love the person just as much now as when they were on their honeymoon. It's like that, but way less important and way less impactful. Because that is gonna move nobody to tears. Go up to them and just go, man, I love African leather just as much today as I did 5 years ago. And they'll just look at you like you're a psychopath. Slowly try to back away from you while maintaining eye contact to make sure you don't sneak up on them. But none of that matters today. What we're talking about is Sherwood. So let's go ahead and let's take a quick peek at the presentation of this one, and we'll start talking about the fragrance itself. So here you have the front of the box, and you have the typical Memo postcard still on there. I haven't taken it all the way off, but if you want to, you can use each one of these as a little postcard. I gotta say, I do prefer the old style of kind of leatherette boxes. I thought they were maybe just a little bit higher end feeling, but I would imagine that these current presentations are a little bit easier to make, and there's nothing wrong with them. They look really nice as well. So again, you got on the front there, little postcard, you have the Sherwood design, kind of evoking the thoughts of Robin Hood with his little arrow there. On the bottom, you have the ingredients and your badge code and barcode. My badge code is SD12112. And the box opens up like so. And I gotta say, this actually looks really nice. So maybe now I'm gonna walk back what I said about the whole leatherette thing. Maybe this makes up for that change from the old box style, because this looks pretty sweet. The journey is the destination, it says. Oh, wow, so deep. Do like the design here. I think it looks really cool. Opens up like so, and then your bottle sits right down in here. It says, from Paris, seeing fragrance as a journey, Memo Paris recharts the map of the sensory world steeped in emotion, in which magical destinations mingle with potent natural ingredients. And then says right here, on the inside flap, this environmentally friendly packaging is composed of 80% recycled paper, printed with safe UV ink, wrapped with organic cellophane, and is 100% recyclable. So yeah, I take back what I said. I now like this presentation more. I am easily swayed. And here we have the bottle. I have always loved the look of Memo bottles because of that plaque on the front. Very detailed, very beautiful, each one with its different scene. It makes them very collectible to me. So you have there on the front name of the fragrance, name of the house, and the concentration as well. This one has a nice frosted glass appearance to it. On the bottom, you have a sticker with your badge code as well. You have the Memo Paris logo on top of the cap, and it does not click into place, it slides into place. And some of my Memo Paris bottles, they have a really loose cap, and then others don't, so your mileage may vary. I would still probably not pick these up by the cap if I were you, just to be safe. Let's go ahead and waste a couple sprays from the atomizer so you can check it out. Zoom in, zoom in, zoom in, good. Would you look at that? So Sherwood is a fragrance that I was very much looking forward to when it was announced. It was one that I knew I wanted to scoop up, mainly because of the story behind it, Sherwood Forest. Something that a lot of people grew up with, whether we're talking about books, movies, cartoons, some iteration, some form of Robin Hood. You know, it's something that a lot of people grew up with, myself included. The Robin Hood Disney cartoon, of course, the books, as I alluded to before, and actually the Kevin Costner film, which was one of the last films that my dad took me to at the movies, Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, and Robin Hood Men in Tights. So a lot of Robin Hood, I dig it. But I wanted to get this. Now, what I was picturing is not how it actually smells. So my expectation was that this was going to be more of an actual foresty type of scent. Not for nothing, but it is named Sherwood after Sherwood Forest, and with the arrow on the front, the implication is that it would, you know, convey Robin Hood and his band of thieves out in Sherwood Forest. That's what I would have thought. So I would be thinking of something that is, again, more truly woody, foresty, maybe even a little bit dark, hints of earthiness, something like that. And that, it is not. It is not that whatsoever. So in some form, in some aspect, to me, that's a letdown. But that is just because that's what my expectation was. So that's not really a fault of the brand. It's just, I guess the imagery and the name doesn't really match what I expected. No big deal, but kind of a big deal, but no big deal, but kind of is, but kind of isn't. So how does it smell then if it doesn't smell like I would expect a Sherwood Forest to smell? Well, my friends, it's kind of an odd duckling, this one. So when you first spray it on, it has an interesting fruity sweetness to it, a slight hint of tartness from the currant, a powdery feel that you get right off the top, almost sort of a fluffy, synthetic, fruity sweetness. You get an interesting spiciness that pops in and out. It's not truly a fresh spiciness, but it's also not really a warm, sweet spiciness either. In terms of seasonality, this is more of a spring and fall time fragrance. It leans more toward daytime use also than it does evening use. So overall, Sherwood, it's not exactly what I was hoping it would be when it was first announced, when I first learned about it. And I will say that the opening of the fragrance, it takes some getting used to. It does kind of fluctuate from here to there. Different things coming in, coming out, different things becoming the star of the show, whether it's a little powdery in one sniff, and then in the next it's a bit tart, and then in the next it's this sort of almost fluffy, sweet fragrance, and then creamy sandalwood comes in, and then you have floral notes that are coming in quite strongly in the mid. It's got a lot going on. And truth be told, the first number of times I smelled it in the opening, I was not a fan. I didn't really dig that very much at all. I've become used to it, and I do appreciate it more now than I used to. But every time that happens where I really don't jive very much with the opening, and then after a number of wears, I start to appreciate it more. I almost wonder if I have Stockholm syndrome or something. Like I'm smelling it and smelling it and smelling it, like forcing myself to, and then I start to come around and go, ah, that's actually not so bad after all. That kind of deal happens. But once it settles, it smells really good. Once that kind of just melange of notes settles down and chills out, it smells a lot better. And the creamy sandalwood takes the stage, the center stage, becomes the star of the show, because initially it is kind of jockeying for position with other things, but once it settles in and that becomes the focal point, it's a lot better. It's a little milky, creamy, slightly sweet, warm, with like a hint of fuzziness in the background from the cashmere, really slight, the cashmere, as it kind of wraps up the sandalwood, and it smells so much better at that point. I think the dry down is really the star of the show here. Some fragrances, the opening captures your attention right away and kind of leads you by the hand into the dry down. Other times, you have to kind of work through the opening to get to the dry down. That's this one for me. The dry down, I like it. The opening, little love and hate, you know? Take it or leave it. It does lean feminine though, unisex leaning feminine. So on the whole, it's not really a fragrance that I would see myself reaching for because it does have that feminine lean, that milky sort of sandalwood. The way that it comes across even after you make it into that dry down is probably not the type of sandalwood scent that I myself would be reaching for. So it ends up being, at the end of it all, a really nice smelling fragrance, quite unique actually. A sandalwood scent that doesn't smell that much like any other sandalwood fragrance that I have or that I've smelled, and I give it all the props in the world for that. So this one for me is like kind of a mixed bag. Dry down smells really good. Quality, very nice, like you would expect from the house. Opening, a little iffy, a little touch and go at times, but it does grow on you for what that's worth. But I wish it was Sherwood Forest, the way that I want it. The wood revolves around me. No, yeah, that's all you're getting from me today. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Again, link down in the description. Thank you guys so much. Please stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. Goodbye.